This is Act and Analyze with Maggie and Tyler. We are two best friends.
I'm an actress.
And I'm a therapist.
In Act and Analyze, you will hear us discuss all things within media in our daily lives, while relating it to our lovely guests.
We want to have fun, but also learn along the way.
Everywhere around us is media. We just want to know, what type of media helps you, or infuriates you, or makes you feel good?
We want to grow with you, and leave you all feeling better than how we found you.
Welcome to Act and Analyze. Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Tyler.
Hi, Maggie.
Hey, birthday girl.
Hi, birthday girl. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be the day after your birthday.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to Act and Analyze.
Yes. Welcome to Act and Analyze, everyone.
So glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're about to hear Tyler's birthday extravaganza.
Oh my gosh. It was the party of the century. If you weren't there, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You missed out. You missed out. No, but seriously, like, I just can't thank you enough, Maggie. Like, seriously, I feel so lucky, so loved, so blessed, so honored that just I have like the greatest friends in the world. You and Sarah both just made me feel like the most special person in the world. And all of my friends who came out to celebrate, I love you and I thank you. And there's just so many friends from different walks of life there.
We got so many compliments about Act and Analyze.
Yeah, so many people who are listening to the pod.
Yeah.
And it was just, my grandma was so funny. She was like, you should be filming content for the podcast tonight.
Icon.
And we definitely have content, that's for sure.
Come on, Eileen.
Come on, Eileen. Yes.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, just start to finish. I wanted a pink disco.
Yep.
I wanted my 25th birthday to be a pink disco. I just love pink, obviously.
And we gave Pink Disco.
They gave Pink Disco. They took the theme and ran with it. Just the details. The details. There was little disco balls and little pink cowboy hats, and the cake was pink and had disco balls all over it.
The cake was gorgeous.
Maggie made a game, a Tyler themed game. Literally made a game for me. With where you like roll dice and it lands like the two numbers that lands on. It was like a whole box. I'll put a picture of it so everyone who's watching can see. But whatever die you rolled on, you had to like do something. So like one of it was, my favorite one was, you had to give your best. I'm one of one. I'm number one. I'm the only one.
Yes.
And everyone had to go around doing it, and I had to pick whoever was the best one.
Yes.
The bark off. Everyone had to do a bark off. That was so amazing.
So fun.
There was themed drinks, and then Maggie and Sarah did a
we performed. We gave you bottle service.
They gave me bottle service. They came down. One friend was like pouring the shots into these adorable cowboy boot shot glasses.
Yeah, the pink lemonade shots.
Pink lemonade shots that were like glittery. Pouring the shots in the corner. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea. I was just floating on a cloud of happiness the whole time. One friend was doing that. One friend was like on DJ to play My House by Beyonce as soon as they came out. And so she plays the song and they come running out. It's blasting. They have lights. They're jumping up and down with the crazy strobe lights. Maggie is holding a bottle of Tito's with my face on it. And oh my gosh. And then Michaela, I think, was passing out the shots to everyone. And then, oh my gosh, it was just so iconic. So there was that. And then from there, we were leaving to go out to Asbury to see like this band that we really love, Des and the Swagmatics. You should absolutely check them out.
You need to follow them.
I'll plug their socials on here. But we were going there, And I like had no idea what was happening. So we go outside to leave, and I see Maggie's mom pulling up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Bridge is driving us to Asbury. That's so exciting. That's so fun. Around the corner is a huge ass white limo. A huge white limo to take us to Asbury from Point Pleasant. Like, who does that? Like, how did I get so lucky and to be so loved? Like, for my friends to think to do this, it's just,
it was so fun.
So fun.
The limo was straight out of Zoe 101 too.
Straight out of Zoe 101. It was a club in there.
Yeah.
If that wasn't enough, we get to see Des and the Swagmatics, and Maggie, I guess, reached out to them prior, and
I slid into their DMs.
Slid into their DMs and asked if they would sing Happy Birthday to Me. They sang Happy Birthday to Me, and then like rolled right into singing Cuff It by Beyonce, and then rolled right into singing Texas Hold'em by Beyonce, and just Des is incredible, and it was amazing. And then we went to Johnny. We danced our asses off.
Hearts
we danced
out.
Our hearts
Every
out.
Single person from the party that came to Asbury danced their butts off. This band is like truly no other.
Seriously.
They play everything from Simply the Best to Texas Hold'em to then, oh my God, to then some of their original songs are so fierce and so good to You Want It, Let's Do It, Ride It, My Pony. So good, so iconic. Everything about the night was amazing. And then we ended at
Jonathan McIntosh, Johnny Max, my
Classic.
stomping grounds. And I felt so alive, so happy. I felt like I won the Super Bowl, so much so that I poured 2 drinks on my head. Poured 2 drinks on my head. I was soaking wet. My makeup was off. My hair was a mess. I was a mess. And then it looks like I pissed myself because I poured it all over myself. And then... And then we went to Mogo.
Yep.
Which is like a local taco place in Asbury. And I rolled up to Mogo, soaking wet, looking crazy. And then some man sang Happy Birthday to me in there.
Yes.
Then all of Mogo sang Happy Birthday. And it was
beautiful.
Beautiful. It was the best night ever. And just, again, Maggie, thank you so much.
No, it was so fun. I want to relive that night every night. It was so fun. I had the best time. I danced my butt off. It was pink everything. I got my outfit from Burlington a couple hours before. It was amazing. It was so fun. Everything, the music, the vibes, the energy. I was on cloud 9. Like everyone right there with you.
Was so fun. There was just no drama. Everyone was just good vibes. Like everyone was just happy to be there.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah, so thank you to you, and thank you to everyone who came, who listens. And your birthday is April 1st. So on March 25th, she's April 1st. We're both Aries. So we have fun plans.
It's going to be
coming
amazing.
Up. We have fun plans this weekend. It's your birthday weekend now that we're recording. So we have fun plans for this weekend. And then we're taking a trip to Charlotte in a couple weeks. And Danny and I have some surprises up our sleeve. And we're just going to continue celebrating.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And I can't wait. And I can't wait to update for Maggie to update you all about that.
Oh my God, iconic. Okay. That's amazing. Well, we have an incredible guest today.
We do.
She's a podcaster.
Her name is Rihanna. I know her from Sacred Heart. We went to Sacred Heart together. She has her own podcast of her own, 7:30 Tea with Rie. You should tune in, where she has listeners write in or send voice memos in. And sometimes she has like guests on as well. And they talk about just like juicy stories, like tea. They spill tea. And Rie drinks tea while she's listening to the tea that's being spilled. and she gives advice and just like discusses it with them. And then she does spiked tea with Rie, where she drinks, she gets a little buzzed and does it. And they're like little like extra episodes. But she's iconic. She is very spiritual, very passionate, just all around gorgeous person. Yep. So we're really excited.
Yeah, we're so excited.
Listen.
Yeah. Here's Rie.
Here's Rie. Hi, Rie.
Hi, Rie.
Hi, guys. It's so nice to be on here finally.
Yes.
We're so excited to have you.
So, Rie, tell the pod a little bit about who you are.
All right. So, my name's Rie. My full name's Rihanna. Well, Rie Flores, if you want to add in my full government name. Wow. But I am a podcaster as well. My podcast is called 7:30 Tea with Rie, where people basically, they send in stories where they spill the tea. They share some drama, a little trauma dumping, a mix of everything. And basically what I do is when they send those stories in, I kind of treat it like a therapy session. I'll listen to it. I'll fully analyze it and give my feedback or give advice. A lot of stuff that's been sent in has been a mix of relationship advice or relationship drama, stuff like that. But there's also been stuff where it's like family stuff or friend stuff or just work-related things, everyday things that you go through, mostly like lifestyle events. I also make sure that it's spiritual as well because I'm a spiritual person. Now, I go to a non-denominational Christian church, but I also do meditate and I've done tarot readings and sound healing readings. So I actually close every episode out with a sound healing reading so that it's always left on a positive note. And yeah, that's mostly what I do is just my podcast. And I also work part-time at like 2 other jobs because, you need extra income. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Definitely tune into her podcast. It's so good. It's so entertaining. Yes. I love it.
I love you guys.
And your TikTok, I have been loving. It comes up on my For You page every day. I'm obsessed. All your tips really are. You put myself in all different situations, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to think of myself more in that way.
I'm so glad to hear that. I always get overwhelmed like when people tell me anything like nice and stuff like that. I'm like, are you sure? It's like that's just like the part of me that overanalyzes and has like a little people pleaser in me where I'm like, is this actually doing well?
Yeah, that's so understandable. We get it.
Yeah.
From like it's so relatable. I'm curious about what your reasoning behind starting 7:30 Tea with Rie was. Like, was there a moment that inspired you to start?
Definitely. So honestly, I didn't get into podcasting, like just listening to podcasts until around 2021 time. And that was when I first graduated college. I had always been into like media studies and everything. Like I got my bachelor degree in that and everything. I really went for photojournalism originally, which I'm still, like into, but I think I more so like social media things more than actual like I don't know, with photography, I was doing shoots with people, doing stuff like that. But I think now I really just like creating content more than anything. Not that I'm not not that I'm fully against going back to what I was doing because I still do shoots on the side and stuff here and there. But I've really been getting into content creation overall. So like you were saying with TikToks and stuff like that. And I've also been reinventing my Instagram. But I also, when I got into podcasting in 2021, listening to it, I was like, this is something different. Like, this is just listening, not just visuals, which is something I never really experimented with because I was so used to visuals. And, how I mentioned that I wanted to get into photojournalism, like I also liked the writing aspect too. So with podcasting, that's your voice, you have to draft things out, write them out, edit it and everything. And that's your voice, telling a story. So I was always interested in getting my voice out there and feeling more heard. And I think that sometimes stems from like childhood stuff. Like, I've never really felt fully heard by people I've grown up with. So I think for me, I see it as a passionate thing, feeling like I'm heard by a bunch of people that I promote my podcast to and stuff like that. So it feels genuinely good and healing. So that's what got me into it, like sparked my interest. And I didn't fully, I couldn't find like a niche really, like for the longest time. Like, in 2021, when I was listening to podcasts and stuff like that, I was trying to think of like, if I were to ever have a podcast, like what would my niche be? What would I do? Like, there's a lot of things that I like to do. And growing up, I was always in a bunch of different activities. My mom had me doing a bunch of sports growing up, but she also had me doing piano. Like, I've been doing piano since I was 7 years old. Now I'm 24. Right? And so like I've been doing a lot of different activities, so I didn't know like what am I like passionate about. It took me a while to find myself, and then I also wanted the spiritual aspect in there. So eventually it kind of somehow came together. I also realized I really liked talking to people sometimes just selectively talking. Okay. Because sometimes but for the most part I do like actually getting different perspectives from people and stuff like that, having conversations. So I think eventually I was kind of like in this place where I was like, it would be cool if I got some sort of different stories being told and sent to me, where I could give feedback and give insight, and I can also get their insight being sent to me as well, and mix it in with spirituality at the end of it so that it's always in everything. So yeah, I guess that's kind of how that started.
Yeah. It feels super personal. It feels like your podcast and your type of media is inspired by you and what you like, which I think is the best kind of media. I feel like now with podcasting, there's now becoming this whole world of people producing podcasts like that are just all different types of genres, some great, some not so great, and or news or whatever. Like, your podcast just seems so individual to you, which is how we kind of wanted to go about Act and Analyze too. We wanted it to stem from our passions and what we like, and that's also by talking to people and enjoying that. So I really relate to you in that way, because I totally get that. Was there any specific podcast that inspired you in any way, or were you always going on down one lane for yourself?
I think definitely a mix. Because I've always known, like, because what you were saying too, with, feeling passionate about something, wanting to make sure that it stems from that. I just think that's a really big factor, is like your level of passion for something will really get you very far. And that was the biggest thing for me, because if I know that it's something that I'm going to be passionate about for a while, it's something that's going to be everlasting and stable for a very long time. And that's, what I really wanted within myself, is just the stability, make sure that I push myself and make sure that I feel confident whenever I do it. And, what more to feel confident if you know that it's something that you like and you're good at because you like it, So it's a mix of that. But there were definitely some podcasts that did inspire me for sure. I started listening to, there was this podcast called Don't Blame Me that I was listening to a lot. And it's like kind of a similar concept, where they have a relationship advice type of thing with a mix of comedy. They don't do like the spiritual stuff so much, but a lot of people usually call in and send stories and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. I really liked that. And I thought it was an interesting mine. I wanted to figure out a way to incorporate that, because that's something that I still have my passion filled within, like that kind of stuff. So there was like this other woman that I'd also listened to, and I forget, I think her podcast name was Girl on Top, and her name's Shallon, and she actually includes a little bit of a quick little like breathing meditation in the beginning of some of her stuff. And when I first heard that, I was like, oh my God, I love that. What? Like, we all just get to breathe for a second. and like relax for like the first few minutes. So sounds like there's an ongoing theme. I think I like a little bit of dating advice stuff, but I'm also open to everything. Like I'm open to hearing like anything that you have to rant about or have any type of trauma from. I love listening to it because, well, one, it makes me feel less alone. And then also it makes a bunch of people feel less alone, hearing so many different perspectives and different angles on things where you're like, oh shit, like it's not just me. Like I'm not the only one that's going through this. Like, you know, there's a billion people out there that are going through a whole bunch of different things, and you wouldn't have a clue if you didn't have podcasts or social media or things like that where you're like, oh my God, I relate to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that point that you just brought up of like the sense of community, the sense of being able to have a platform that people can relate to and not feel so alone. And I think that's such an important part of social media. And we've talked about that in other episodes, is that it really gives people that sense of feeling less alone and feeling less isolated and having other people that relate to them and have similar passions. And like you can just put on your headphones and close your eyes and feel like you're in the room with the person sometimes. Like especially I think your podcast gives that feeling a lot, because like just the way like you have conversations with yourself, like analyzing and talking about the people's stories, like it feels like you're talking to the person.
It brings so much empathy to the conversation. And that's what we need more of in social media, is why I'm so curious about you wanting to discuss cancel culture, because that is such, I feel like we're trying to bring so much like love and empathy to the game here, and cancel culture is such a specific topic that is really like kind of taken over a lot of social media.
Yes, it has. Okay, with cancel culture, I just think a lot of people cancel things way too quickly, where like they just don't even give anybody a chance, where it's almost unnecessary sometimes. Like, okay, sometimes I'm like, I get it. Like if someone does something really fucked up and drastic, am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh, fucking yeah. But if somebody like does something crazy fucked up, like sure, like I guess we can cancel them, right? But like if it's something so minimal where I'm like, this happened like 20 years ago, I don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so they said something probably fucked up when they were 13 years old and didn't know any better. Like, why should we sit here and just dwell on it and be like, oh, yeah, that person's a real dick? Like, you know what I mean? Where I'm just like, I don't think we should just completely cancel someone for something they did years ago when they're a completely different person now, and they've probably, hopefully, grown and, you know, are actively just doing way better things for the people around them, or you know, they're just a good person and they've changed a lot.
Yeah. Is there anyone like specifically who comes to mind when you're talking about that?
Okay, if I can give one example, like I'll give an example, like Justin Bieber. Like when they did that whole thing about he used the N-word like way back then years ago. I am literally black, okay? You know, I am literally black and I obviously have a problem with that word. But, you know, it's something where I'm like, he was like a teenager. He was like an idiot teenager. And for some reason in that time period, that was almost like the cool thing to say. And it wasn't the right thing to say at all. And even back then, it was weird because I was like slightly uncomfortable when I would hear like some of my white friends saying it. Like, but at the same time, I grew up going to predominantly white schools. So it's almost like I was a little bit brainwashed in a few couple of different periods of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I think the way that I grew up and who I was around and stuff like that, I feel like there were certain things that I was a little too used to, where it almost felt normal to hear them say things like that jokingly, where I was like, oh my God, is that okay? And then like years later pass and we're all actually sitting here analyzing it after our little pandemic lockdown where we're inside sitting analyzing everything. Now years have passed and everyone's like, oh yeah, that was pretty like fucked up. But also, even though it was, I can sit here and acknowledge, like, even though that was fucked up, it's been years now, and they don't mean it now, and we've all learned from that now. You know what I mean? Like, we all took that time together. And that doesn't speak for every single person either that has done that and maybe still does that or doesn't feel any remorse by it. But for the ones who actually genuinely feel bad for stuff that they've done in the past and are actively making the changes to make sure that they don't repeat those mistakes, I just think we got to give certain people a little bit more leeway, I guess.
Yeah, I think that what you said before about like, are they still continuing those actions and those like continuing to use offensive language and continuing to put populations down and cause harm, or has it been over a decade and they've done the work and they've realized their wrongs? I think that is the fine line when it comes to cancel culture of like, what is the definition of doing the work, and like what is the definition of righting your wrongs and all of that. And I think it's probably very much up to the individual to decide.
Definitely. It definitely comes down to the individual and like, what type of steps do they make in their daily life and how do they actively go about making sure that they're being, kind to everybody. I feel like people are very quick to cancel when it comes to political beliefs too, which sometimes I agree with. Sometimes I understand it. And then other times I just think I wish that people who have different political views could actually talk with each other and have a regulated conversation. I think sometimes with cancel culture, like cut people they know off a little bit way too soon sometimes, or they're like really quick to cut someone off within the first few minutes where they haven't even given them a chance to really express themselves or show who they are.
It's just really interesting to see the shifts in media, the shifts of where people are following. And I think that's so similar to cancel culture, where people are just so ready to end a person on media.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like, why are we leading with such unkind language? Like when we could be leading with kindness and just trying to our best to survive in this crazy world, in these crazy times, specifically where politics are heightened, where there's so many crises happening. And that's like where I feel like it's really, it becomes just so complicated and so multi-layered. I think cancel culture used to be way simpler. It used to be like there's unkindness and injustice, and that's where we end it. Whereas now it's like we can pull things because we've recorded things and extracted things. There's so many things that are factors into like who you are. It's your past, it's your present, it's your future. It's and we all have it on media. We all have it on TV. We all have it on Twitter. We all have it on all different things. So it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting when I see a lot of people who are hateful on social media, because I'm like, they're at the end of the day, like leading with kindness is way more important than you sending someone a death threat on TikTok. Like it's crazy.
Oh my God, I agree so much. Every single thing that you said, I was like, yes, a fact. Yes, a fact. Like every single thing that you said. This generation has also moved like forward where like when it comes to mental health stuff, like we've all been really good with that, really like expressive, really like on top of that, and have really been kind of like, almost cradling the idea of like, yeah, mental health, like let's get together, let's like fix ourselves. And I love that. I love self-care. I love, trying to make sure that I'm improving myself and trying to make sure, like, you know, of how my actions can affect other people around me and stuff like that. Like, it makes no sense to me, because it's like, didn't we just all say, like, hey, like, let's all fix ourselves up? Why wouldn't we encourage that person who made those mistakes to be a better person? Why wouldn't we all come together and try to, like, teach them, rather than just, you know, ragging on them as assholes? Don't think it's fair that we, as this, you know, culture that we have right now, are so, like, mental health, like, self-care, self-work, self-improvement, but then the second someone actually is trying to work on that because they're messing up, and that's human to mess up, I think it's so wrong that we have to sit there and think that it's okay to just drag them down further when we're trying to preach the opposite. You know?
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes me like, I started to think about what you're saying on like a small scale when it comes to like me with like as a therapist, like with clients, when it comes to when you have someone in a client has someone in their life that is hurting them and causing constant harm. Like, as much as I would love to say, like, cut that person out of your life, like sometimes people can't do that. So it's, you instill boundaries, and like the only person you can control is yourself. So it's like you instill boundaries, you have a conversation with this person, you try to let them know your feelings, like you try to let them know the way that they're causing harm. Where at this big scale of cancel culture, like we just go to totally Xing the population or the person out, which is not helpful for the person who's being hurt at the end of the day.
For sure.
When it comes to like, I'm just thinking about like on an individual scale. So it's really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. I think a way to like combat cancel culture in a lot of ways too is to always be the one that's trying to be kind and continuing to educate themselves for themselves, you know, and for others around them. I think that's a huge thing of just, you know, I see a lot of people that are, you know, stagnant, that aren't like improving themselves, and that's where a lot of hate is coming from, because they're projecting probably their
like lack of education
onto others, which is just which is where I find it the hardest. So I'm like always kind of like, how can I just be a lifelong learner?
No, literally, that's true.
Exactly. Like, yeah, because it's like you mentioned before, like with the Justin Bieber situation, and like you going to predominantly white schools, like it shouldn't have to be you that's like teaching all of these ignorant fucking people like how to be a good like white person. Like it's people who are choosing to constantly educate themselves and learn and grow and be open to conversations, you know?
Exactly.
And that's where I do see that people succumb to cancel culture, because it's like people don't want to have to constantly teach ignorant people like the right way to live. And it's like it's just easier for people to just cancel out these harmful people instead of like I don't want to say wasting their energy, but for some people it is wasting their breath and energy trying to teach others how to be good humans, because they're just trying to survive themselves. So
that's really true.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's tricky.
It is. It's so
it's tricky, because exactly what you said, like that is the one thing where I do, like, I can understand it, like with cancel culture, where it's kind of like, you know, not wanting to have your energy around someone else's if you feel like it's like toxic in your space type of stuff. Like, I get it from that angle. It's just like, oh, I just wish people could be better. Like, but you know, it's like, of course you can't control that. It's like at the end of the day, it really just comes down to like, what are you gonna do yourself?
So true.
You know, like what steps are you gonna take to be better, and how are you gonna do it?
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah. how do you think it's effective or ineffective, or do you feel like you already kind of answered that?
I would say it's definitely effective. It's definitely effective because you can see how it affects, like, the people who are getting canceled. Some of them, like, I've seen have full mental breakdowns on a live stream, which it looks crazy because it's like, to people who are sitting there watching it, they're sitting there, they're adding more words to it, whether they're like being like more mean or they're trying to like calm them down. But like when you're sitting there, like if you're really there on the other side of the screen with them having that, like you would be hopefully a human and want to help them. So it's like I think it's definitely effective in that way where it's like you can visibly see, what you're doing sometimes. When you're canceling someone, you can visibly see it. So I think it's effective in that way.
How would you relate your experience in the world to social media?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. I like had to think for a second. There's a couple. Like, there's this podcaster that I also listen to that I didn't mention in the beginning of when you guys had asked me about like what type of podcasts I listen to. But there's this one podcaster, and her podcast is called Date Yourself Instead. Her name is Alyssa. And I don't know if you guys have ever listened to that podcast or not or heard of it.
It sounds
But
familiar.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of it.
I love that podcast. Is so good. And her stuff feels very relatable because her stuff is spiritual, but also mixed with like the idea of focusing on yourself, like giving yourself, treating yourself like you're in a relationship with yourself, that type of thing, like making sure that you are improving yourself, focusing on yourself, doing the best things for you and learning about who you are and just, finding who you are. Basically, it's about yourself. It is about, being the best version of you and how to, I guess, implement that into everyone you interact with, being the best version of you in every scenario that you come across, that type of thing. And I guess that kind of has a part of me in there because I feel like I really relate to a lot of the things that she discusses in there. Some of it's like dating stuff, and some of it's also like a mix of family things, childhood trauma, things like that, where I think she explains everything in a really realistic way where I don't feel crazy when I listen to some of the stuff she says. Because some of the things that she says like are very, I feel like it's so personable, where it's a lot of things that people think of, but they don't choose to say it on social media because they think that they'll be judged by it. But she's just so completely herself. And that's what I like about it because it makes me feel less crazy on the inside. Honestly, it makes me feel like sane.
Yeah.
That's great. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. How does the media help you day to day, mentally and emotionally?
Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot of TV shows that I watch, honestly. I watch like a mix of different shows, and there's so many that I feel like helps me through my day to day. There's one that I honestly, I'm a show rewatcher and a movie rewatcher, so I really can't help myself, you know. But there's this one show on Netflix called Never Have I Ever.
I love Never Have I Ever.
So
I
good.
love it. It's so good. It's so good, and it's so relatable for me, honestly, because she's literally an Indian girl, and like I have Indian mix in me, but I'm more so Caribbean mostly. I'm Trinidadian. Like both of my parents are like they came from Trinidad, but I was born in America. But I've always been the brown girl. And so like from her perspective, her being an Indian girl growing up in America and stuff like that, and being the brown girl in school, like I really relate to her a lot with a lot of the stuff, especially like one of the first few episodes in the first season, there was an episode that was about how she was kind of embarrassed being Indian. And I felt everything that she was feeling and the way she expressed everything, especially going to predominantly white schools, you know, for the majority of my life. Like when I was going to those, I remember growing up but feeling kind of out of place and like almost ashamed sometimes. I don't feel ashamed anymore, but you know, when I was younger, I had curly hair. I had like a darker skin tone, stuff like that. My mom would sometimes send Trinidadian food with me, so sometimes I felt out of place and uncomfortable. And I remember, you know, feeling like I had to put on my white voice, you know, instead of, and that sounds so stupid because there's no white and the black voice and this, like, it's kind of stupid that there's like that whole thing. But, you know, you get kind of what I'm saying. It's like I always felt like I had to put a certain type of persona on around a certain group of people. Whereas, like, if I was around my black friends, I would feel like I could just be myself. Or sometimes, because I'm also mixed, I used to feel like I had to be more black in front of my black friends and more white in front of white friends. So it was a lot to kind of deal with in balance, and also always just feel out of place because I'm, you know, it's like I'm identified as black, but because I'm mixed, I still face the colorist side too, you know, rather than just the racism side. So it's like a lot of things. But the reason why I really like that show is because it shows all of that so well. And I relate so well to her character, where sometimes you genuinely just feel out of place, or maybe sometimes it's just in your own head. Not that I'm invalidating like that stuff, but like sometimes it could also just be something as simple as like you have to just own your skin from young to get everyone to feel comfortable with you. Not that you have to try and make yourself feel comfortable around everyone else. They also have to feel comfortable with you. You know, you have to be who you are and let everyone just accept that, you know, no matter what. And even if they don't accept it, at least respect it. And you know, just show the best version of you. And if they can't do that, then it's not your problem. And you're still who you are at the end of the day, no matter what.
Exactly. That's such a good show. And like, I'm so glad that you found a relation with yourself and the characters' experiences. That's super important.
Yeah. I think that's like one of the perfectly written shows of Netflix.
So good.
Netflix.
So good. So good.
Is there any other, besides Never Have I Ever, pieces of media that you go to escape to or help you feel better?
I also love Bridgerton.
Yes.
So good. I love Bridgerton. Like the Queen Charlotte one especially. Oh my God.
So good.
Another
That
one
had my heart so bad. I love that one. I think you know what I love most about that one? Like I also relate to her character too because I'm biracial, you know, but also I do what I mostly love about that is the way that they display love on screen is so different from what I've envisioned on all of the other shows that I've seen. Like it's very just, they don't overly sexualize it. And I feel like a lot of shows these days will do that, or sometimes they'll show a lot of just the sexual scenes lately, which kind of sucks because, you know, you don't get to see the full like emotion sometimes. And that's what I love about the Bridgerton series is in general, like every single time they have a Bridgerton series, they always show like everything and you can feel the chemistry leap through the screen. And what I loved in the Queen Charlotte one specifically, because I could watch that over and over, is that there's this undeniable love. And it's not just like the idea that they project in most rom-coms that you see where it's like, oh, like, you know, you just know, like on the spot, you'll just know right away. Sometimes you choose love. You choose it. It doesn't just come out of your ass. It doesn't just come out of nowhere, you know. You choose to love someone too. You can feel it immediately, of course, sometimes, but like you really choose someone daily, and that doesn't just come with like, oh, I'm just gonna just love you for fun. I'm just gonna love like only the good parts of you. It comes with like everything. Like, and that series shows all of it because, you know, he had, I think it was probably schizophrenia, right? They didn't really clarify that, but I'm gonna guess it was, I think, schizophrenia. And she chose to love him through all of that and be there with him through all of that. And I feel like that is the ultimate form of love, loving someone regardless of what they're going through and regardless of who they are and what they need for the rest of their lives. It's sacrifice, and it's, you know, just giving it your all. So I just love the way they show that. And I feel like it also just shows to like, even with, it relates back to cancel culture just because a lot of people in this generation, when it comes to relationships and stuff like that, people are really quick to cut someone off the second they're talking to them over shallow shit. Like a lot of shallow things. It could be like, yeah, I don't know, his hands were too small. Like, or it could be something like, you know, it could be something so stupid, or it could be a guy being like, yeah, I don't know, she's like a little too crazy. She has like too much anxiety. And it could be a guy who's anxious as fuck. Like it could be like so many things where I'm like, people cut people off and will just like cancel them out for absolutely like something that's so minuscule. Whereas in that series, it just shows you like you are choosing that person all the time. And you know, this doesn't even just relate to like just relationships. Like it can relate to friendships too. Like in some scenarios, it's so necessary to cut a friend off where I'm like, that girl is toxic, you know, like, you know, in some scenarios it's necessary. And then other scenarios, I'm like, all she did was tell you the truth about how you're being right now. That's it. She was just trying to help you. Like in some scenarios, it really just depends. But I think a lot of the time we can be way too quick to cut things out. And it concerns me because I don't know how this generation is going to be in the future. Like, I would hope that we would all accept each other when it truly matters.
It's so true. I've seen so many people like cut, you know, they're like, oh, I went on a date and he gave me the ick. So I'm like, and then I saw what is it? A stitch. Immediately they're like, don't just stop dating someone because they gave you one little ick. Like that's not the way to like date at all.
It's real. It's true. I don't get it. Like, why are we just gonna, I would hate that. I would feel so sad if somebody did, and it's happened to me.
Well, because I definitely could give so many girls the ick, like some of my friends, I'd probably give the ick by just being me, like with my like no. I got like weird ass looking feet or something, and they could be like, that's ick. Like that, we're not friends.
Senior year of college was so crazy because the beginning of that year, they weren't finished building that, the dorm area. I forget what it's called. They have the bridge and stuff like that. They were still finishing that area. They were still finishing it. So I had to stay in the Marriott hotel or whatever. And I was supposed to be living with said roommate, but you know, we didn't live together. And so this other random was going to be with me, and she ended up not coming. So it was just me. It was just me living by myself in this fucking creepy hotel that was haunted. I was going crazy, and I was trying to make friends with like the girls next door. I tried to be social and stuff like that, but I felt like nobody gave me a chance because they were already in their cliques, where it was like people just cut me off fast. I was like, I am being nice. I said that your top was cute. I don't understand. Like, why can't we just go thrifting? Like, I didn't understand like why. Like, it was just, I feel like no one gives each other the chance as much these days because not as many people either care to, or they just are way too quick to assume things. And that sucks.
I agree.
And you know, For me, it's worrisome because I feel like it's preventing us from like that gut feeling, our intuition, because we're so quick to like go to the superficial things that like we even tap into our intuition anymore when it comes to like being around people or not.
That is
because
key.
everyone's so focused on the icks.
Bingo. And I feel like
it's
awful.
It really is.
It is awful. If we just listened to each other a little more and followed like our human intuition and what we were feeling, I think like that's so true of what you said. It's so it's leading us down a dangerous road because things are becoming too quick and too easily. Like, yeah, we can swipe through a phone, no problem, right? This and that, but we cannot do it in real life. We can't be switching up like this in real life. Life doesn't work like that.
Last question is, do you have any recs, any TV shows, movies, books, obviously your podcast you can rec, music, anything?
Oh, okay. A song I will recommend, because this song just came out like yesterday and I'm obsessed with it. I don't know if you guys have heard that song there's this song called Beautiful Things by Benson Boone. Like, that song's good, but his new song that just dropped yesterday is called Slow It Down. Benson Boone, Slow It Down.
Okay.
Really, really good song. I predict this is going to be the new summer bop. It's definitely going to be my new summer bop. I love this song.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh, I love that.
Amazing.
I love that.
Rie, well, where can people find you? Plug yourself if you're comfortable with it.
You know, I will plug myself. So 732 with Rie, you can find on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube as well. And yeah, go follow me on those things. You can also find me on TikTok as well. And if you guys have not subscribed to Act and Analyze yet, you better subscribe right now.
Yes. Welcome to Maggie's Middle Munches. Yeah. So, we just listened to Cowboy Carter.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. We stayed up. Me, Tyler, and Danny stayed up until midnight. And when the album dropped, we listened to it and it was amazing. So what I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. Because this is simply some of Beyonce's best work.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
I mean, I can't even compare albums at this point because just everything she does is that amazing. She tops it every time. But also then again, like, she has different music for different vibes. Like, any song, like, you can make a playlist with her songs for how you feel if you're in different moods. 100%. She has a plethora of music now, like, when you think about it. I just can't believe 27 songs.
27 songs.
And you know what? And I was expecting some of them to be little short songs. When I tell you, most of these songs are so fucking long and so good and such bops. And oh my God, everything. Like, down to Jolene, down to Ya Ya Ya. Like, oh my gosh. And her and Miley. That duet is just beautiful.
Makes me think of us.
Yes.
Makes me think of us,
it's
for sure.
Giving besties for the resties. I love her. I love the album. I think it's brilliant. I think this album's so much about the lyrics and so much about what she's really trying to say. Like, so much alligator tears.
So good. And just like the way that
Protector.
I don't want to talk about that one, but without wanting to cry. But just like her reasoning behind creating this album and just like the strides that she's making. And like Danny said it earlier best, like he was like, she could be her own genre at this point because 100%. Like she was right where she was like, this isn't a country album, this is a Beyonce album. Like it was a Beyonce album.
Yes.
And just like some songs you hear the country, but you hear R&B and you hear soul and you hear dance music. Like you hear it all and it's in the same song at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's strumming, but there's like a beat and then there's like her
Riverdance?
lyrics. Yeah, her like lyrics is like more like soul, more R&B, but like all together it's just like
magical.
Magical. God, she's just like no other. And so she featured some artists who really have been like trying to really get into the game for a long time, and an underground artist that she found from Instagram. Like Raina Roberts is a Black country singer, and she gained 400,000 followers overnight. And her single is being played, and Beyonce just is she's the first lady of music, 100%. Like and she's so intentional and just, oh my God.
I love it.
I love her.
So what I'm pairing the album with,
oh yeah,
is spaghetti, because of her song Spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
So get yourself a good bowl of spaghetti. You could put pesto on that spaghetti. You could put marinara on that spaghetti. You could put vodka sauce on that spaghetti. Mm-hmm. Do as you butter and parm.
Mm-hmm.
Do as you please, and listen to that album because it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. It's magical. You will feel all the emotions going through that album. And so therefore I'm getting a little meta here with my media munchies. My favorite song that I really resonated with listening through the first time, I'm sure it's going to change as I listen to the album more, because that's what always happens with me. But what I responded to viscerally was Two Hands to Heaven.
Yeah.
And the energy of that song was like just, I felt it in my bones. I wanted to just get up and dance. I wanted to jump and shake my body, and just like, I feel like it's also so beautiful in a lot of ways too. Like me, I'm someone who also can dance to sad music too. In a way, it made me emotional too. And that song specifically, pair it with some angel food cake. Get some sugar in you and start dancing.
Yes.
Get some light cake made with some strawberries, a little whip, and start dancing.
I love it.
Start dancing.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. It's so beautiful. It really is so beautiful. The beat in it, the layering of the music is just magical. It makes me feel so many feelings. So yeah, that's my two pairings. I know it's like one inside the other, but yeah, that's it.
Amazing.
Yeah, thanks for listening to my Media Munchies.
Welcome to Tyler's Take Care of Yourself tip, where I give you a tip to take care of yourself. So on theme of talking about Cowboy Carter is to either like get into a space where you have a lot of room to move, and either just put in your headphones and listen to it, or put it on your TV or speaker and listen to it alone, or like with someone you feel safe with, like your bestie or whatever, and just like feel every song and every word and every instrument, and just like allow the emotions to pour through you, because it's emotional and it's going to take you on a journey. And I feel like there's just a lot of self-discovery in that album, and just it's just like empowering, and just move whatever the music is telling you to do, just go with it and just feel it. And I feel like it will be really empowering and make you feel really good after. So let us know if you do that, and take care of yourself.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Welcome to Cravings Corner. What are you craving? Are you craving a feeling? Are you craving a food? Are you craving a person, a place, a thing?
A moment?
A moment? What are you craving? Tyler, what are you craving?
So I'm craving just moving somewhere new. Moving somewhere new, starting a different journey. I'm 25 now. My frontal cortex is fully intact, and I'm ready to move on, to have some self-discovery, to meet new people, to experience new things, to experience new places, and
Yes.
just to have that moment for myself. I'm really craving it. I'm really just craving newness and space, and yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I'm ready.
You're ready. You're ready.
Mm-hmm.
A new chapter has begun.
Mm-hmm.
You are.
I feel it. I feel it hardcore.
It's the frontal cortex, babe. We said it was going to change everything. It has changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
You're ready for new beginnings. That's what you need. A new place, a new energy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
How about you, Maggie? What are you craving?
Oh my God. What am I craving? I'm craving the heat of fire.
Mm-hmm.
Fire.
I'm surprised there's not like flames coming off of us.
Yeah.
Like we're such Aries. We're so like on fire and intense. Like I'm surprised it's not like right.
Yeah, I'm really feeling my thoughts of the universe. Oh my God, imagine we just like start like walking around as like fire.
Yeah, like the Heatmeister.
Yeah, like the Heatmeister. I'm Mr.
Heatmeister.
You know
Is
what?
it Meister or Meisner?
I have no. Well, Meisner is an acting technique.
Oh, I think it's Heatmeister.
I'm craving just to feel my fire sign at its fullest. Like be around a campfire. Be like even put it like someone in the city actually recommended this to me. Put not a campfire, but a fire from a fireplace on your TV, just while you're doing anything, and just play music. Like that is way more helpful doing that than like putting on a TV show and doing mindless things. Like it's gonna make you feel warm. It's gonna make you feel cozy. Like it's gonna keep you in touch, keep you grounded. Like I am just craving to get more in touch with my fire sign because it is the season of the Aries. So,
or even going to hibachi,
yes,
and having that fire on your face.
Oh my God, I love that. That's my favorite. And like getting the sake squirted in my mouth. But yeah,
I love it. Bring the fire, bring the heat, and I'm ready to move.
Yeah. So with that fire, follow us on Instagram and TikTok
at an Analyze Podcast on TikTok, on Instagram.
And subscribe to us on YouTube, please.
Like, subscribe, share, rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please. Share with whoever you love.
Yeah, we love you. I hope you have a great week.
See you next week.
Bye.